Hi there. So today I'm going to be doing a very quick video on my thoughts on the London Pen Show and some general advice with what to do when going to a pen show. I don't want you guys to think like I'm an expert on buying or selling pens at all, but this is just coming from someone who went to this event for the first time and plans to go every time it's on in London at the least. So these are just some of the 5 pens that I'm going to be using to in today's video. I've got the Leonardo and I have my Jinhao Centennial 100, my new Mont Blanc Solitaire Duet, the Sheffers, and I have a Mont Blanc Rouge et Noir. Generally, what I'll be talking about today is just some general ideas and tips and what to expect when going to any kind of pen show. I think for the first time, I was massively overwhelmed with the experience. And having come back home from the pen show, I spent about 2.5, 3 hours there, and I kept closing my eyes. And every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing rows of pens in different sizes and shapes in my head. Honestly, it was one of the most interesting events I've been to. I had a lot of fun, but I also feel like there can be some advice given when going to a pen show. But definitely like and subscribe and let me know in the comment section how you felt going to a pen show and some advice that I could follow or some of the viewers can follow as well. So we're going to bring the Mont Blanc Solitaire Duo. Tip number one, don't buy the first thing or the first item that you see. So this was real tough because the moment I walked in, there was so much choice with so many different stores and vendors. I had no idea how to go about or plan my day. I kind of had a very chronological, mapped out order just to go round in circles. And the best thing you could do is just see what the items are on offer, pick out anything that catches your eye initially. I was quite overwhelmed with how expensive some of the pens were. I wasn't expecting to spend £410 on this pen at all, and a lot of them were going for £1,000, 700, 800. You kind of need to know your budget really quickly, but just have a look around first. And even if something meets your budget or might be a little bit outside of it, don't jump for the credit card or whatever or cash that you're carrying, because you will find as you go around the stores you're going to come across other pens that you wished you hadn't, like you wish you could have bought had you not spent it initially. I'm sure there might be a refund policy and stuff like that, but you don't want to go through that hassle. So best advice would be don't buy the first thing that you see. Have a once over in all of the store, pick out your favorites, ask the vendor to keep it held for you if possible, unless somebody else might wrap it up and take it away. And then you pick the pens that you want to get once you've given a look at everything. The next really important tip, and I'm using my Leonardo for this one, Haggle. If you don't ask, you don't get. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the vendors don't have a fixed price that I've noticed. So you're gonna need to ask them for one of the pens that you're interested in. Uh, Often at times, because they don't have a fixed price or because they're people from, like, they might not be from a massive chain store like in the UK we'd have Cult Pens or the Pen Shop. I think you might as well just see and give it a good go at haggling for the prices. A lot of people are willing to go down their asking price, and you'd be surprised with what you can find. I've always found that if you actually don't ask or give them an opening offer, obviously go as low as you think is sensible. But if you don't give them an opening offer, they're not, they're going to take you for, I guess, a bit of a ride. Again, end of the day, vendors are there to make a sale. They're there to for their products to be sold. I'm sure they don't want to keep it on the shelves for too long. So you want to help them out by trying to get rid of the product essentially. But like I say, if you don't ask, you will not get. You might find that you're saving a little bit. Try and do what you can to shave as much off as possible. I had a pretty interesting time with this Mont Blanc. Guy was selling it for 450, and I just thought, let me hedge my bets a little bit. I knocked off £40 off this pen. I wasn't able to do the same thing with the Leonardo because, I think I was getting a bit tired. Time was running out, but it was going off at a good price. I should have asked. It was a bit of a regret. I wondered if I was able to shave off anything for this one. I think this was going for 150 anyways, but always haggle. If you don't ask, you don't get. You might find that you're saving quite a fair bit. Right, my third point is probably one of the most important points ever, especially when it comes to going to a pen show. I'll be introducing this point with my Rouge et Noir Metamorphosis Spider. This is really key. Always try the pen. And the reason I say that is because you never know whether you will like the nib or not. I had a very interesting story from last week where the first vendor I went to, they had a Aurora Leonardo da Vinci pen and they were going for £100. And this is a pen that's worth 1,200 brand new. And I actually went round the entire stall, the whole venue, and I found a brand new Leonardo da Vinci Aurora pen going for exactly £1,000 basically. I ran back to the first vendor I saw literally opposite the hall for the £100 version, thinking, what's the hook? And I'm so glad I didn't buy it, even if it was going for such a ridiculous price, because I found out that the original owner changed the mechanism of the pen. Long story short, that massively devalued the price of the pen. And I wanted to try out the nib. And the guy at the stall was very hesitant with me dipping the nib in the ink bottle. And that wasn't very nice. It wasn't very friendly. I know it's like a limited edition pen, but eventually I won him over because before I put money, I needed to see how this pen functioned and wrote, and I wasn't happy. It was a very scratchy experience on the paper, and I had to pass it up really. So it's always a good opportunity to dip the ink gently. Don't, make it swirl around the ink bottle too much. And just be generous because, somebody's going to eventually buy that pen, and it might be yourself. And it might need to be easily cleaned off by the original owner, but you always want to give it a good go. And if you don't like it, you would have saved yourself a headache, essentially, and you wouldn't have that buyer's regret. So always check out the pen that you're going to purchase. I didn't try out the Solitaire, and I had a panic attack when I went home thinking, is this thing going to work? And I ended up having to fill it up with Parker Quink very quickly. But eventually I had to flush out the black ink and I got it filled up with Mont Blanc Burgundy Red. So if you just go back a few clicks, you will see the ink that I use for it, and I'll be reviewing that soon. But yeah, point number 3, always try out the pen before purchasing. You'll be given that opportunity at the pen shows. Everybody wants to be welcoming and allow you to try pens, and actually it gives you an opportunity to test different pens out that you might be interested in. So 100% always try the pen. The fourth point, I'm going to bring this with my Shefa intensity. I'm actually going to be reviewing this very soon. The fourth point will be, quite simply put, find out, is the product coming in original packaging / box? The reason I emphasize this, and note that I am not a person that invests in pens for resale, for example. I buy my pens with a view to keep for the long term. If you're someone that is an investor and you go into a pen show, again, take this with a pinch of salt because I'm not an expert. You always want to inquire if the product you're buying has the original box. Now, if there isn't a box, then this could lower the value of the pen and you're going to have a headache trying to sell it on for a decent amount if you're looking at it in an investment purpose. There are a lot of collectible pens that you will find there, and without the box it will massively diminish the resale value. I know that there are a lot of vendors out there with the very prestige limited edition Mont Blancs, Auroras, Montegrappas, even like just many brands out there with a very high luxury brand name attached to it. Some of the more obscure pens have the box ready, and that helps a lot for investors. However, if they don't have the box, you might find it difficult to get a good resale value if you're someone that's an investor of pens. If you don't care about that stuff, such as myself, I guess the best thing you could do is try and knock down the price and say, hang on a second, you're charging this much. I know what the market value is. You don't have the box. I want about several £100 or whatever, £50 off, God knows. But it gives you an opportunity to haggle, which brings you back to point one. I think the other thing to note is not everybody will be bringing original packaging. They're not in their stores or in the warehouse, so they're probably going to be carrying hundreds of pens as is, and some of the more key rare collectible items will probably have that box or the brand new items. So I'll go on to point number 5. I'll be bringing point number 5 with my Jinhao 100 Centennial. Now this point, basically simple as, is inspect the writing instrument. This is very important, and the reason I emphasize this is because I had a situation where my wife and I were going around the stores and we found one vendor in the corner, and they had all the rare and wonderful Mont Blanc exclusive pens. I even found an Egyptomania black in ballpoint, and big regret not buying that, big regret. But we came across a Greta Garbo, a Mont Blanc fountain pen, and it was going for, I think it was £300-400 or something, a little bit less, I think. I was about to pull the trigger on this, but yeah, they weren't allowing me to try the pen because they didn't have any ink samples for me to dip it in an inkwell, for example. But also there was this massive white blemish on the barrel of the pen, and I just tried to run my thumb across it gently to see if I can get rid of it, and it wasn't coming off. There was countless other vintage pens. Now, I'm not someone that's interested in the vintage pen market, not yet at least, but a lot of them had scratches and ink stains, and I just couldn't figure out for the life of me why somebody would try to present that at a pen show and sell it for a high value. But you need just give it a good look. Look at the nib, look at the barrel, look at the cap. Is there any blemishes? Is there any damage? If so, are you willing to take it? Try and knock down the price. If not, just put it away, because you don't want to come home with buyer's remorse. So the key factor with this point is always inspect the item. Otherwise, you could be coming home with an issue or a blemish that you don't want. So this is my last point, and this is the most important point. And I had to bring out my favorite pen so far, the Solitaire. And I'm sure you're going to love this. Have fun. This is the most important point that I could give you, because you're going to be meeting lots of people who share the same passion and the same hobby for fountain pens. It's a very niche and wonderful event. I mean, I was mesmerized by how many YouTubers I've seen. I'm aware there's a fellow YouTuber called Penultimate Dave. I didn't know what he looked like and stuff, but I know he was there. Pen Venture was there. and it was amazing to see a lot of these people. I saw a gentleman from the Aurora stand who was a nib master, and I just wished I could spend a lot more time just talking to him about how nibs are made, functionality, things like that. But obviously, I didn't want to take too much of his time because he's there to sell and advertise Aurora products. So he worked directly for them. And I also met a few people who owned Onoto or were behind that brand. Sadly, I couldn't purchase one of their pens, but they're absolutely stunning pieces, and I'd be looking to buy one from them in the next pen show, should I have the funds for it. But you get to see all kinds of people from all kinds of companies, all kinds of pen makers, and have fun, explore, try different pens, keep a broad mind. Don't go in there fixed with a certain style of pen you want, because you will come out surprised. And don't go in with an agenda for, like, I want this kind of pen, that kind of pen. Have a good look around, um, and speak to people, and it was a whole very fun event, very wholesome event. Um, I was massively overwhelmed by it, but I had a very good time. Stop and have a chat with people, share your ideas about your favorite pens, and see what can pleasantly surprise you. Keep an eye on what you might be targeting next for your next pen or the next pen show. Always look out for deals. And again, fantastic event. I've got nothing more to say about it, but generally speaking, these are some of the tips. I hope it would help you. Like I say, I'm not an expert in buying or selling of pens, but they were just some of the things that I wanted to share with you guys, and some of the stories that I had to tell regarding the pen show. So I hope some of this advice finds you well, and that it may help you make better purchasing power and decisions going forward. If you were to go to a pen show at some point, you might come across myself one day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. And like and subscribe. There'll be a few more things I'll be uploading this week. I'm going to be reviewing the Shefa Intensity. That'll be the next video, and we'll be looking at some of the newer pens that I got from the London Pen Show. Thank you very much.